Okay, follow along one arm handstand training. So jump straight in, let's warm the wrists up, we'll have a chat while we do it. So I'm going to jump down onto hands and knees, have the shoulders on top of the hands. Now obviously if you're working one arm handstands or starting to work one arm handstands, you already know how to warm the body up. But I'm going to take you through a quick warm up that I'm doing today, just a good way to follow along and do the program with me. So index finger forward, spreading the fingers, doing circles on top, pushing the floor away. Just get the hands and wrists nice and warmed up. Now this is going to be a follow along one arm handstand session, but also it's a good assessment to see whether you're ready to start working the one arm handstand. So if you can't do any of the drills I'm doing today, then you're probably not quite ready for the one arm work yet. But it's so you can always come back to it and keep rechecking it. So going through the wrists, different directions, palms up, palms down. I warm up different depending on the day, how much time I've got and also how my body's feeling. At the moment I'm feeling a bit sluggish and stuff. I haven't been training as much as I'd like to. So then in through the shoulders, fingertips. I keep looking at the fingers when I do that one. Keep the hips on top of the knees. Down dog position, so get into the hamstrings and the calves, and again open up the thoracic and shoulders. And then just forward fold position. If you're comfortable in this position, do small bounces. Make sure you feel it in the hamstring. And just open and closing the hips. Shake the shoulders out. Then I'm just going to go into a few kick-ups, see how the handstand feels. So have a little play around with the shoulders while you're there. Same with the hips, same with the feet. Just shake everything out, see how everything feels. And from that you can tell whether you need more of a warm-up. So if you're ready to start working one arm handstands, then kicking up into a freestanding handstand shouldn't be an issue. You should have that 9 out of 10 times, 10 out of 10 times. Okay, I'm going to start warming the hips up a little bit more. Just do some Cossacks. Start to go into a little bit of middle split work. I normally stay closed hip for most of this. Ideally, I'd go more open hip, but a quick way for me to get my stretch of my hips is to keep the hip closed. So now I'm going to go into a 60-second hold. So with this 60-second handstand, I'm going to move the feet around, move the legs around, not just stay in a straight handstand. So some tuck, some straddle, open and closing the hip, making sure you're going back to that straight position and resetting your position on each shape change. Again, none of these shapes should really be an issue for you if you're working one arms. And that's time. Then come back out of the 60-second hold. So a good 60-second rest now. It's up to you what you do on your rest periods. You could either just have a drink or stretch a little bit more. I like to go into normally middle splits or pancake positions in between one arms, especially to start with, depending on how much time I've had to stretch first. If I had more time, I would just do all my stretching first and then just rest in between the one arms. So here I'm just working the closed hip middle split. Okay, back to the handstand again now. So this time I'm going to go into a straddle position. and open and close. And the one arm work I'm going to show here and what I'm practicing here is going to all be straddle work. So for most people, the one arm holds are easier in a straddle position, but you could apply the same drills into a half straddle or straight position, diamond, tuck, any position you like. So again, see how they feel. If you need to pause, do more stretching in the hips, open the shoulders up more, even do different balance work for the handstands to get yourself ready to do the one arm shifts. Okay, and then into straddle, going to start doing a little bit of flag work. My flag's not great, so don't get excited by what you see. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep the shoulder, so as I shift, I'm trying to keep the shoulder in place. So you see a lot of people, they'll flag deep, but they'll move their shoulders a lot, which is great for your flag, but not great for your one arm handstand. So shoulder position is key. So just flagging left to right. It's good to always video this from the back so you can see how the left and the right hand side compares. Normally one side will feel way more comfortable than the other. And then again a rest. So again, I'm going to go into the split position. I prefer when I'm working these splits in between that I'll have some sort of slider on one foot. I just find it easier to slide down into position. You can see I'm much deeper on this one than the one before. Now my middle split position and definitely my straddle, my active straddle in the handstand isn't great. I definitely recommend that you improve it if you can, if whatever your level is at. It's definitely easier for one arm handstands if you are more flexible through the hips. It's something I'm on the to-do list for me. I need to keep trying to work that. So then back into the handstand. So this time I'm going to still do those flags, but I'm going to weight shift a little bit more. So as I lean over to one side, I'm going to transfer more weight into that side. So there I've straddled over, I've got more weight in the right hand than the left hand. I haven't done anything with the fingers, and I'm going to hold, so 10 seconds, return to center, and then over to the other side. So I'm working that left side now. The left shoulder is still directly on top of the hand. There's no shift in the fingers or anything on the opposite side, but I'm holding for 10 seconds, returning to center, and then coming back down again. Now in terms of the rest here, I'm just going until I'm ready to go again. So it's roughly 30 to 60 seconds on these initial sets, depending on how I'm feeling. And again, I'll either continue to stretch or I'll just rest completely, have a drink. Now it could be if you're starting, that might be it. That might be the two drills you really need to work on. So it's the flagging without the shift in the shoulders, and then it's the weight shift with a slight flag. And then I just recommend you do sets of that until the quality goes. So to start with, you might only be able to do like 4 or 5 sets, and then as you get better at it, you might get up to like 10 sets, and then you can hopefully start to progress and you can test it every time. So we're going to go slightly more progressed now. So we're going to go up onto fingertips. So same thing, kick up into a controlled handstand, go into straddle, flag, weight shift, and then up onto fingers. So again, aiming for that 10-second hold. Notice how the right shoulder is still directly on top of the right hand. And then over, same on the left. So trying to keep everything as still as possible. 10-second hold, and then return to center, come back down again. Now when you're first learning these and playing with these, you might not be able to do left, right. You might have to do left, have a little rest, then do your right side, which is fine. Just slowly build it up so you can do it on each side. Most people will have a big difference between the left and the right hand side. My right side was much stronger from a shoulder injury on the left hand side, and it's only now that I'm starting to balance the one arm on my left, but it's definitely not as strong as my right. And then again, I'm going to show the next progression, but if you're not ready, stick with that last one, go fingertips, or the one before where you're just doing the weight shift, or just the flag in, and practice that strong straddle position. So same thing, but now I'm going to skip fingers, so I'm just going to go straight to a one finger hold. So weight shift, up onto fingertips, finger away slightly, and then onto one finger. This is a good test. It's a big jump up from 5 fingers. Obviously you go 4, 3, 2, 1 finger is the telltale to see whether you're ready to get up to that point. You definitely don't want to skip this one finger point. So we should be able to hold that for 10 seconds on both sides before we even think about lifting the hand, especially with your working sets. Like if you're going to play around and try throwing the hand up, then that's up to you. But in terms of your working sets, I'd recommend that you stick with that holds either on fingertips, either with the weight shift, or one finger. Okay, one more rest. And then on the next one, so I'm going to show the next progression, which is a good warm up, and if you're doing the more advanced stuff as well, is to actually start to lift the hand now, but return. So I'm going to do it twice on each side. So I'm going to see if I can lift the hand up for a few seconds, return back to the handstand, swap sides, do the same on the other side. So kick up to my straight handstand, into straddle, weight shift, fingertips, one finger, lift the hand, return with control, back over to the other side, fingertips, one finger, lift the hand. So notice when I lift the hand, so if I'm lifting the right hand up in the air, the left shoulder doesn't move at all. And I'm trying not to so if I'm lifting the left hand up in the air, the left shoulder doesn't raise up higher than the right shoulder. So when I'm going on to fingertips, it's bending the elbow. I'm not lifting the shoulder, I'm not hiking up. So that was twice on either side, and then I come back down again. Now again, you could just continually work that. You could do repetitions. So you could say, okay, can I get 5 on each side? Could you go up and down on the same side? Or you could do longer holds. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to see whether I can do a longer hold on each side. And then for the rest of the workout, I would continue to do that or change it in some way. I'm going to show one other drill after this. So I'm just going to do one more hold here. This is where you'll probably start to see the difference between the left and the right hand side on me. So kick up to handstand, so into straight handstand, open to straddle, over to the right side first, up onto fingertips, and then go straight into a hold. Same on the other side, fingertips, straight up. So they got the hold, but very much different to the right hand side for me. Return to your straight position and come back down with control. So then I would just continue to do repetitions or sets of those drills. Another one I like to use as well is using a step or a box to raise the hand up to. You could do this and put more weight into the box when you're first starting out and just play around with the weight shift, because it will transfer lots of weight to the floor, to the hand still on the floor. but ideally when you're doing it, you want to be doing it so the way I'm going to show it, so the weight that's on the box on the floor, so the weight that's on the box on the supporting hand is very small, so it's like your fingertip hold. I'll actually show it with a thumb touching the box, and it's just balancing me slightly but with the raised arm, so that gets you used to that shoulder position. So here I'm just using the IKEA step. You could go higher, you could use a higher up box, you could use a smaller one or just reach the hand out away on the floor, but having the raised box is good, like I say, for that shoulder. So I'm going to start on the right side first. So kick up to straight handstand, I'm going to go to straddle, weight shift, fingertips, and then reach the hand on top, and then I've just got the tip of the thumb touching the box, and then be as still as I can. So you can see all the weight is in that right hand, the shoulders on top of the hand, return to center, come back down, swap sides with the box. So I'm going to do the same on the opposite side, so on the left side. So go into straddle, weight shift, weight shift, fingertips, and then up onto that thumb. So I can make this side nearly look as good as the right side, but there's definitely more work. There's probably a little bit more weight in that thumb. Return back to the straddle, to straight, and then come down again. So I wouldn't start with that drill, but that's something you can add in as you go, and it's definitely, it's not easier or harder than lifting the hand up in the air, it's just different. So have a play with that. And then I would just continue for as many sets as you can at your level. So whichever one you can do with control. So if it's one of the holds, make sure you can do 10 seconds with 5 fingers, say, before you go to 4 fingers, sort of qualify each one. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try the later ones, but in terms of your reps and sets and working training, I would stick with what you can do with control, and then do a little bit of play and investigation on top. If you can't do any of them today, so you can't do the weight shifts, you can't do the flagging, then just work on getting a strong handstand, especially in that straddle position and especially in the straight position. And make sure that you can kick up, say, 7 out of 10 times every time you try. If it takes you 5 attempts to kick up once, you're probably not ready for a one-arm handstand. If you can't hold a consistent 60-second hold, I wouldn't start working too much on the one arms yet. Get that consistent. And then jump in with the one arms. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments below. Any requests for further videos, message me, or again stick them in the comments, and I'll speak to you next time. Thumbs up and subscribe.